The vastness of space had never felt smaller to Admiral Kron of the Galactic Alliance. His massive command ship, the Pride of Stars, floated at the head of an armada that stretched across 3 solar systems. 500 warships, each one a masterpiece of alien engineering, each one capable of reducing entire planets to dust. The combined might of 12 different species, all united under one banner, all preparing for one purpose, to destroy the lone human vessel that had entered their territory. Kron's 4 eyes studied the tactical display with growing confusion. The human ship was unlike anything in their databases. Where their vessels were sleek and elegant, designed according to millennia of spacefaring tradition, this human creation looked crude, almost primitive. It was a massive rectangular block of dark metal, covered in what appeared to be random protrusions and weapon ports. No curves, no aesthetic considerations, just pure function. The scanner readings made no sense either. The ship's mass readings kept fluctuating, as if the vessel itself was somehow bending the laws of physics around it. "Commander, the human ship is transmitting," reported Lieutenant Vax from the communications station. The young officer's tentacles trembled slightly, betraying his nervousness. "Put it through," Kron ordered, straightening his massive frame in the command chair. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a human face. The creature had only 2 eyes, placed inefficiently on the front of its head, and its skin was a strange pinkish color. But what struck Kron most was the expression, completely calm, almost bored. "This is Captain James of the Earth Defense Force vessel Hammer," the human said in accented galactic standard. "You have exactly 1 minute to withdraw your forces from this system. This is your only warning." The bridge erupted in laughter. Officers from a dozen different species found humor in the absurdity of the threat. 1 ship against 500? It was madness. Kron leaned forward, his mandibles clicking in amusement. "Captain James, surely you jest. You face the combined might of the Galactic Alliance. Your single vessel, impressive as it may appear, cannot hope to stand against our armada. Surrender now, and we may show mercy." The human's expression didn't change. 50 seconds, Admiral." "Sir," whispered Vax, studying his console with growing alarm. "The human ship, it's doing something strange. Energy readings are spiking in patterns I've never seen before. It's almost like they're charging hundreds of weapons simultaneously, but that's impossible. No ship has that kind of power generation." Kron waved a dismissive claw. "Impossible is correct, Lieutenant. It's clearly a bluff, some kind of sensor ghost meant to intimidate us." 30 seconds, Captain James announced flatly. The tactical officer, a reptilian saurus named Commander Rex, suddenly stood up from his station. "Admiral, I'm detecting gravitational anomalies forming around the human ship." "Multiple anomalies? They're creating artificial singularities." "That's not possible," Kron snapped. "No species has mastered that technology. It would require the energy output of a star." 20 seconds. More alarms began blaring across the bridge. Every station reported impossible readings. The human ship's hull was somehow generating a field that bent space itself, making it nearly impossible to get accurate targeting data. Worse, the ship appeared to be deploying something. Thousands of small objects that spread out in a perfect sphere around the vessel. "Those aren't debris," Rex reported, his voice cracking. They're some kind of drones. Each one is outputting energy equivalent to a capital ship's main gun." 10 seconds, the human captain said, and for the first time, Kron thought, he saw something in those alien eyes. Not anger, not fear, but something far worse, pity. "All ships, prepare for combat." Kron roared into the fleet communication channel. "Target that vessel and fire on my command." 5 seconds. The space around the human ship began to shimmer and distort. Reality itself seemed to bend. Fire! Kron screamed. 500 ships unleashed their weapons simultaneously. Beams of energy, projectiles and missiles filled the void of space, all converging on the lone human vessel. "Time's up," Captain James said quietly. And then the impossible happened. Asterisk. The first sign that something was terribly wrong came when the Alliance's combined assault simply disappeared. Not blocked, not deflected, the thousands of energy beams and projectiles just ceased to exist the moment they entered the distortion field surrounding the human ship. It was as if they had fired into a black hole that swallowed everything without a trace. Admiral Kron stood frozen at his command station, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. In his 300 years of military service, across countless battles, with dozens of species, he had never witnessed anything like this. The tactical display showed the impossible. Their entire opening salvo, enough firepower to crack a moon in half, had been completely neutralized without the human ship firing a single shot in return. Analysis. He barked at Commander Rex, who was frantically working at his console. "The humans have created some kind of dimensional pocket around their ship," Rex reported, his scales pale with fear. "Our weapons aren't being destroyed. They're being shunted into subspace. The energy requirements for this, Admiral, their power output just exceeded our entire fleet combined by a factor of 10. Before Kron could respond, the human ship finally acted. The thousands of drones that had deployed earlier suddenly came alive, each one glowing with an intense white light. They moved with impossible speed and coordination, not like individual units, but like extensions of a single mind. In seconds, they had surrounded the entire Alliance armada in a 3-dimensional web of death. Evasive maneuvers, Kron commanded, but it was already too late. The drones fired simultaneously. Not the focused beams or projectiles the Alliance used, but something far more terrifying. Coherent gravity waves that rippled through space itself. The first wave hit the outer ring of the armada, and Kron watched in horror as 30 destroyers simply crumpled like paper. Their hulls compressed instantly, all structural integrity lost, crews dead before they even knew what hit them. "Shields are useless," someone screamed over the communications channel. "The gravity waves pass right through them." The second wave came 3 seconds later. This time, the humans targeted the cruisers. 50 ships, each one the pride of their respective species, were torn apart at the molecular level. Metal twisted and screamed as gravitational forces ripped them in opposite directions simultaneously. The lucky ones died instantly when their reactors breached. The unlucky ones had a few seconds to experience the horror of their ships disintegrating. Around them, Captain James appeared on the screen again, his expression unchanged. "Admiral Kron, you can end this now. Withdraw your forces." Kron's pride warred with his survival instinct. 300 years of military doctrine, of believing in the superiority of the Galactic Alliance, crumbled in the face of this impossible enemy. But he was responsible for the lives of thousands of officers under his command. "All ships, concentrate fire on the drones," he ordered desperately. "If we can destroy them," the third wave interrupted him. This time, the humans demonstrated a different capability. Instead of destroying ships, the gravity waves created temporary wormholes. Kron watched in stunned silence as 20 of his own vessels suddenly appeared in different positions, having been teleported against their will. Some materialized inside asteroid fields, others dangerously close to stars. One battleship appeared inside another, both vessels exploding in a cascade of antimatter. "They're not trying to destroy us," Vax whispered in terrified understanding. "They're demonstrating, showing us how easily they could end this if they wanted." The fourth wave targeted the Alliance's prized dreadnoughts. These were ships the size of cities, protected by shields that could withstand supernovas. The human drones surrounded just one, the Eternal Warrior, flagship of the Saurus Empire. 100 drones fired in perfect synchronization, their gravity beams intersecting at precise angles. The dreadnought didn't explode or crumple. Instead, it simply ceased. One moment it was there, the next it had been compressed to a point. So small, it fell below the Planck length and winked out of existence. 10,000 souls, gone in an instant. 4 minutes had passed since the battle began. The Alliance had lost 120 ships. The humans hadn't suffered a single scratch. "Cease fire," Kron roared, his voice breaking. "All ships, cease fire immediately." The shooting stopped, but the human drones remained in position, their weapons still glowing with deadly potential. Captain James waited patiently on the screen. We surrender," Kron said, each word tasting like poison. "The Alliance Armada withdraws." The retreat was chaos. Ships fled in every direction, their crews panicked beyond reason. A mighty Galactic Alliance Armada, which had entered the system with 500 vessels, limped away with less than 400. Admiral Kron stood, alone on his bridge, most of his officers having fled to prepare for evacuation. Only Lieutenant Vax remained, still manning his station with shaking tentacles. "Admiral," Vax said quietly, "the human ship is requesting permission to come aboard." Kron's mandibles clicked in surprise. "They want to board us? After defeating our entire fleet?" "Sir, the message says Captain James wishes to explain. He's offering to come alone, unarmed." The Admiral considered this. Pride demanded he refuse. But curiosity won. What species could develop such impossible technology? How had humanity, a race that had only achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago, according to their files, created weapons that defied the laws of physics as the galaxy understood them? "Grant permission," Kron said finally. "But have security stand ready." 20 minutes later, Captain James stood in the Pride of Stars conference room. He was smaller than Kron had expected, barely reaching the Admiral's chest. No natural weapons, no claws, no armor plating, no visible defensive adaptations. Just soft, vulnerable flesh and that same calm expression. "Admiral Kron," James began, setting a small device on the table. "What I'm about to show you is classified at the highest levels of human government. But given what just happened, my superiors agree you need to understand." The device projected a hologram, a blue-green planet orbiting a yellow star. Earth, Kron recognized, the human homeworld. 50 years ago, we were alone, James said. We had no idea alien life existed. We were taking our first steps into space, proud of our achievements. Then the Zephyr came. The hologram changed, showing massive ships appearing in Earth's orbit. Kron recognized them immediately. The Zephyr Empire, one of the first casualties of the expanding Galactic Alliance a century ago. They had been known for their cruelty and their habit of enslaving entire species. They demanded our surrender, James continued. When we refused, they destroyed our 3 largest cities as an example. 30 million dead in minutes. The hologram showed the devastation. Entire metropolises reduced to craters. Kron felt a flicker of sympathy despite himself. We surrendered, of course. What choice did we have? For 5 years, they used us as slave labor, mining our planet's resources. They took our children for their experiments. They treated us like animals. James's voice remained level, but his eyes had gone cold. But they made one crucial mistake. They let some of us work on their ships. They thought we were too primitive to understand their technology. The projection shifted to show humans working in alien shipyards, seemingly docile and obedient. Humans have one trait that seems to be unique in the galaxy, James said. We're incredibly adaptive. We don't just learn, we improve. Every night, After working on Zephyr ships, our scientists would gather in secret. We studied their technology, understood it, and then made it better. Much better. That's impossible, Kron protested. The technological gap would have been insurmountable. It would take centuries. For most species, yes, James interrupted. But humans have something called intuitive leaps. We don't always need to understand why something works to make it work better. One of our scientists, a woman named Lisa Park, looked at their faster-than-light drives and asked a simple question. What if we went around space instead of through it? 6 months later, she had designed the theoretical framework for dimensional folding technology. The hologram now showed technical schematics that hurt Kron's brain to look at. Equations that seemed to twist reality itself. After 2 years of secret development, we staged a rebellion. The Zephyr expected primitive projectile weapons, maybe some stolen energy rifles. Instead, we unveiled gravity manipulation technology that we had reverse engineered and improved from their own tractor beams. We didn't just defeat them, we erased their entire fleet from existence in 17 minutes. Kron's throat had gone dry. The Zephyr Empire had thousands of ships. Had, James emphasized. We gave them the same choice we gave you. Leave or cease to exist. They chose poorly. But the Alliance, Kron began. The Alliance never knew the truth, James said. You thought the Zephyr Empire collapsed due to internal strife. We let you believe that. We've spent the last 43 years preparing, improving our technology, waiting for the day someone else would try to conquer us. Asterisk Captain James touched the holographic projector, and the image shifted to show a star map of the local galaxy. Hundreds of systems were highlighted in different colors, representing the various powers and alliances. Earth sat in what appeared to be an insignificant corner, a single blue dot among giants. Admiral, what do you know about human history? James asked, his tone conversational, as if they were discussing the weather rather than the complete upheaval of galactic power structures. Kron shifted uncomfortably. Your species is young. You achieved nuclear fission only centuries ago. Your first spacecraft were chemical rockets. You fought wars among yourselves over resources and ideology. A primitive race that somehow achieved faster-than-light travel, through what we assumed was luck or perhaps assistance from another species. All true, James nodded, but incomplete. Would you like to know what makes humans truly dangerous? Despite himself, Kron leaned forward. Vax, who had been silent until now, also moved closer, his recording device active. We evolved on a death world, James began. Though we didn't know, it was classified as such until we met other species. Earth has earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, tornadoes. Our gravity is higher than 70% of inhabited worlds. We have diseases that would kill most galactic species in hours, predators that hunt in packs, insects that can kill with a single sting. Even our plants try to kill us. We have trees that produce poison that can blind you just by standing near them. The hologram showed scenes from Earth, massive storms, predators hunting, natural disasters. Things that would be extinction-level events on most worlds were apparently regular occurrences on Earth. But that's not what makes us dangerous, James continued. Every death world produces tough species. What makes humans unique is that we're insane by galactic standards. We do things that no rational species would consider. We jump out of functioning. Aircraft for fun. We climb mountains that kill 1 in 4 who attempt it, just to say we did it. We strap ourselves to controlled explosions and ride them into space. We split atoms to boil water. We poison ourselves with alcohol and caffeine. For recreation. Kron's translator struggled with some of these concepts. Why you poison yourselves? Intentionally? Every day. James smiled for the first time. But here's the real secret, Admiral. Humans don't just survive adversity, we thrive on it. When the Zephyr conquered us, they thought they were crushing our spirit. Instead, they gave us the greatest gift possible, a common enemy and impossible odds. There's nothing humans love more than being told something can't be done. The projection changed to show human laboratories and shipyards hidden beneath Earth's surface. Thousands of humans working with salvaged Zephyr technology. It took your alliance 3,000 years to develop gravity manipulation theory, James said. We did it in 18 months. Your shields took 500 years of incremental improvements. We looked at them and said, why not just bend space around the ship instead? 6 months later, we had dimensional folding fields. Your weapons fire. Energy in straight lines. We asked, why not curve space so every direction leads to the target? 3 months after that, we had probability cannons that hit their targets before they're fired. That's not possible, Vax squeaked. Causality itself is more flexible than you think, James interrupted. When you've spent your entire evolution surviving things that should have killed you, you get very good at finding loopholes in the laws of nature. The hologram now showed the human fleet, not just the hammer, but hundreds of ships, each one, as impossible as the last. Ships that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Vessels that could turn stars into weapons. Fighters that moved backwards through time to avoid attacks. We have a saying on Earth, James said. Necessity is the mother of invention. The Zephyr made us necessary. The Alliance made us necessary again today. Every time someone tries to conquer humanity, we don't just beat them. We leap forward technologically by centuries. In trying to destroy us, you've just triggered another evolution. Kron felt his heart sink. You're going to conquer the galaxy. No, James said simply. We're going to protect it. The same drive that makes us dangerous also makes us protective. We adopt animals that could kill us and call them pets. We risk our lives to save strangers. We have a concept called hold. My beer. It means watch me do something stupidly dangerous to help someone or prove a point. Asterisk. The meeting had moved to the observation deck of the Pride of Stars. Through the massive transparent aluminum windows, Admiral Kron could see the human ship Hammer floating serenely in space, its impossible geometry still hurting to perceive. Directly, the Alliance fleet had long since fled, leaving only Kron's flagship behind to conclude these unprecedented negotiations. Your species could have revealed this power at any time, Kron said, his voice heavy with the weight of realization. You could have conquered the entire galaxy decades ago. Why didn't you? Captain James stood with his hands clasped behind his back, looking out at the stars. Because we learned something from our own history, Admiral. Empires built on conquest always fall. Always. The Romans, the Mongols, the British Empire, they all thought they would last forever. They didn't. But you know what does last? Protection. Defense. The shield that guards the innocent. He turned to face Kron directly. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We want to protect it. From threats without and within. Threats without? Vax asked, his natural curiosity overcoming his fear. What could threaten a galaxy where humanity exists? James touched his device again, and the hologram projected something that made both aliens step back. It showed the edge of the galaxy, where stars grew sparse and the void between galaxies yawned like an endless abyss. But there was something there, barely visible, structures that dwarfed entire solar systems, moving with purpose through the intergalactic medium. We call them the Devourers, James said quietly. We detected them 3 years ago. Entities from another galaxy, possibly another dimension entirely. They consume entire star systems for energy. They'll reach our galaxy in approximately 200 years. Kron's mind reeled. And you can stop them? Alone? No. Even our technology has limits. But humanity protecting the united galaxy? Training other species in our methods? Teaching them to think like humans, to innovate like humans, to fight like humans? Yes, we can stop them. The projection shifted to show a new structure, a massive space station being constructed near Earth. It was already larger than most moons, and clearly still growing. The Academy, James announced. We're inviting every species to send there. Best and brightest. We'll teach them everything. Dimensional folding, gravity manipulation, even our way of thinking. The controlled insanity that lets us look at impossible problems and say, hold my beer. In return, they'll teach us their perspectives, their technologies, their ways of seeing the universe that we might have missed. You're serious, Kron said. Slowly. You defeated our entire armada, proved you could destroy us all, just to offer ... partnership? The greatest human warrior in our history, a man named Sun Tzu, wrote that the supreme excellence is not to fight and win all battles, but to defeat the enemy without fighting. James replied. Today, we defeated the old order without destroying it. Now we offer something better. Lieutenant Vax had been running calculations on his pad. Admiral, if these readings are correct, if the humans share even a fraction of this technology, every species in the galaxy would advance by millennia overnight, Kron finished. He looked at James with new understanding. You're not conquerors. You're uplifters. We're humans, James said simply. We're the species that looked at wolves and made them into dogs. We looked at wild grass and made it into bread. We looked at space and decided it was just another ocean to cross. And now we look at the galaxy and see not subjects to rule, but neighbors to protect and partners to grow with. He extended his hand to Kron, a gesture the Admiral had learned was a human sign of agreement and friendship. The Galactic Alliance wanted to bring order through force. We offer something different, evolution through cooperation. Are you willing to be part of that? Kron looked at the small, soft, seemingly fragile hand extended toward him. This hand belonged to a species that had turned the laws of physics into suggestions, that had transformed slavery into supremacy, that chose protection over domination despite having the power to take everything. Slowly, carefully, Admiral Kron extended his own clawed appendage and took the human's hand. The Alliance Council will need convincing, he said. James smiled again, and this time it reached his eyes. Don't worry, Admiral. We humans can be very persuasive. After all, we convinced the universe to let us break its rules. How hard could